Welcome back, everyone. RacerX here, and I'm actually getting ready to head up to Pontiac, Michigan here in just a few hours for the Roadkill Nights event to visit Dodge. And I thought, while I wait, maybe I'll just put a quick video together for you guys and weigh in because you guys have been asking me to do it. Apparently, Dodge just released the pricing on their 2025 Charger Daytona EVs. And I kind of broke the pricing down just a little bit because there's all sorts of hate. Everybody is up in arms about what these new prices are, and I get it to a degree. And I'm going to give you just a little bit of a different perspective, a comparison, if you will, of the prices of the current car versus the prices of the new EVs getting ready to hit the market here in just a few months. So it should be interesting. If you guys are brand new to the channel, please do me a big gigantic favor, hit subscribe. Only 21% of you guys watching this video at home are actually subscribed to the channel, and it costs nothing. And with that said, off we go.
T-minus 15 seconds.
Let's start off by looking at the base price of the 2023 model Challenger RT and Scat Pack versus the incoming 2025 Charger Daytona EV RT and Scat Pack prices. And it is pretty glaring when you look at it, and this is what everybody is up in arms about. The RT starts at $41,640 for the current V8 model. When you jump up to the EV, the 2025 Charger, $61,590 for that RT trim. So you're talking about a $20,000 price jump when you jump up to this EV, the new car. That is a ton. We're talking big money. Now, when you talk about the Scat Pack, it actually gets even worse. You start out at $49,265. That is for a non-wide body car. And when you jump up to the 2025 model for the Scat Pack, that is with the Stage 2 upgrade, $75,185. So a $26,000 price jump, Scat Pack to Scat Pack. Like I said, that is a base non-wide body 2023 Scat Pack versus a pretty decked out 2025 model. So that is kind of what everybody is stuck on. $20,000 for the RT, $25,000 for the Scat Pack, and everybody thinks Dodge has absolutely lost their mind when you really just start off with that. Now I want to give you a little bit of a different perspective, but first I want to caveat this. I realize that not everybody likes EVs. Matter of fact, most Dodge performance enthusiasts aren't all that excited about the prospect of their beloved V8s going to EVs. And I completely get that. I'm kind of right there along with you, not overly excited about these EVs. But when you look at this from a horsepower perspective, things do change a little bit. And I realize hating on Dodge is just the thing to do right now. You've got all these guys out there, and literally they bash Dodge every single video. It is their favorite thing to do all day long. And if I show any sort of optimism at anything Dodge offers, people get crazy upset and call me a sim for Dodge. Okay, fine, whatever you say. I'm just trying to keep an open mind and look at things from a different perspective. So that's why I'm going to give you these numbers. So everything took a big jump when you look at performance and horsepower trim for trim. So the RT actually has more horsepower than the outgoing Scat Pack. So 485 horsepower on the 2023 model Scat Pack. This new one, 496 with the Stage 1 upgrade already on it on just the RT trim. So 11 more horsepower on the RT compared to the old Scat Pack. And that is why when you look at it from a power perspective, things change a lot. You have the Scat Pack almost making Hellcat power. And then when the Banshee comes out, I'm guessing it's probably going to make basically demon type power. And that's why you're seeing big jumps in the prices of these cars. So let's take a closer look at this. So really the only fair way to do a comparison is to look at horsepower per dollar. And if you look at the current RT, the 2023 model RT, it just doesn't compare because the new cars coming in just make way more power. And 370 horsepower is still fantastic. I love a V8, but it just doesn't compare well when you talk about the new EVs because everything just kind of jumps up in power. As I mentioned, the RT version makes 11 more horsepower than the outgoing Scat Pack, and that is really where the comparison is. Now, before I jump too far into this, I realize that so many people are still mad at Dodge about the big price increase we saw back in like late 2021 on all these things, and they just kind of kept going up and up to the point where your average person really had a hard time affording them. I mean, we see like a 20-25% increase in price for basically the same car. a lot of people are really frustrated. But that's what we have to work with is current prices versus the new car coming in and the new prices. So that's really what we have to take a look at. So we're going to compare the outgoing Scat Pack to the incoming RT, and then the numbers really start to line up a little better. So let's take a little closer look at this comparison. You've got the 2023 Scat Pack starting at $50,000. Now keep in mind, that is for a non-wide body car. When you start adding options to this, if you throw a wide body on it, you throw the plus package on it, you throw some other goodies, this car actually creeps up to around $67,000. I literally just spec'd a nice Scat Pack out for $67,000. Now on the RT, the incoming RT, 496 horsepower, so 11 more than the outgoing Scat Pack. And if you just throw a few goodies on it like the plus package and things like that, that car is going to spec out right about the same price, $67,000, right in that range for 11 more horsepower, and it's actually much faster from 0 to 60. So I realize not everybody wants to hear that, but the new RT is faster for about the same amount of money than the outgoing Scat Pack. Now, when talking about the incoming 2025 Charger Daytona Scat Pack EV, it does actually compare relatively favorably to a current model Hellcat. And you may say, how in the world is that possible? Well, from a base price, as I mentioned, $75,185. Now, you can add some things to it. The plus package is $5,000. You can add the bigger wheels, 305 in the front, 325s in the back for $700, which actually is a pretty good deal. But if you really deck that thing out, you'd probably come in somewhere around $81,000. And I realize that sounds like a ton for a Scat Pack, and it is. And we did see some of the Scat Packs creep up to like $75,000, $76,000 for some of the special editions, or like a really decked out TA, stuff like that for the current model year. But 81 grand for a Scat Pack does sound like a lot, and it is down 47 horsepower compared to a current model Hellcat. But when you go and spec out a Hellcat on Dodge's website, I mean, you guys have seen it, for a non-wide body Hellcat with just a few nice options on it. I actually went and spec'd it out. It was like $85,000. So you're actually more money into a Hellcat, and performance-wise, this EV is actually a little bit faster. 0 to 60, in matter of fact, 3.3, 0 to 60, all-wheel drive on the EV versus 3.7, what they claim in the Hellcat. That's if you can get traction with the rear-wheel drive and the hard street tires that come on it. So you kind of have to think about it from that perspective. From a performance perspective, maybe you're actually getting a little bit more on the EV, even though it doesn't seem like it, because you're just looking at the RT or the Scat Pack badges. And I know this is not necessarily what everybody wants to hear. RacerX, how in the world can you back Dodge on that? I'm not backing Dodge on this per se. I'm just giving you literal like horsepower per dollar and performance figures just to kind of, give you a different perspective. That's all this is. To further my point, we really haven't heard anything more about the incoming Banshee, right? That's supposed to be that top level 800 volt car that's supposed to just set the world on fire. I mean, they showed us that literally 2 years ago at Roadkill Nights and Speed Week, and we just haven't heard much about that car since. And so many people have kind of taken a guess, if you will, at what the horsepower is going to be. My best guess is somewhere between 1,000 and 1,100 horsepower. And then I think about the price of that. I mean, if you have Scat Packs coming out at, $85,000 or $90,000, what in the world is the Banshee going to cost? My best guess is somewhere around $125,000 to start. And that's just going to just set all sorts of people ablaze, get people pissed off just thinking about it. But once again, if you're talking about horsepower per dollar, the only other thing that Dodge makes, say that makes 1,000 horsepower, is this thing sitting right behind me. And what is the price of this? Well, as we know, a lot of people, $130,000, $135,000 is what the sticker was on this. Mine was a little bit less because I basically got a race trim on mine. But so when you think about it from a horsepower, and that's before the markups, but if you think about it from a horsepower per dollar perspective, once again, it's not all that unfavorable. And this really is the only thing that Dodge has made that will likely compete with the horsepower and the performance of the Banshee. Matter of fact, the Banshee, everything I've heard about it, it will outperform this, at least from a 0 to 60 or even a 0 to 100 perspective. That is on a non-prep surface. This thing on a prep surface, we know it's an animal if it can get traction. So I'm just thinking about it from that perspective, right? Horsepower per dollar, and it sort of changes the way you look at it a little bit. So with all that being said, yes, these new cars are going to be expensive. I kind of thought that was going to happen, and it would not look favorable whatsoever going from a gas-powered car to an EV. And when you look at it trim per trim, it does get pretty ugly, right? RT for RT, you're looking at a $20,000 jump. Scat Pack for Scat Pack, a $25,000 jump, and it just looks like Dodge has lost their mind. But as I mentioned, when you look at it from a horsepower or performance per dollar perspective, it really changes the narrative completely, and it is right on par with the old car. So it just depends on how you look at it. Now, I do realize, as I mentioned, it's an EV. And a lot of you guys are really struggling with the fact that, yes, it's a muscle car and they made an EV. They hate the transition. They hate everything about it. I really do want to get a hold of one of these cars and drive it around just to see. Did they somehow make this EV fun to drive? You know, what are my initial thoughts on it? Because I will keep an open mind going to drive the car, and then I will give you my honest thoughts about it. I mentioned I'm really excited about the six-pack car when it finally comes in the middle of next year or whatever it is. We'll just have to wait and see on that. But as I mentioned, I'm just trying to throw a different perspective out there, look at things in a little bit different way, and it does change things just a bit. So let me know what you guys think about this. Please don't be quite so freaking hateful in the comments section. It's getting out of control. Like I said, I'm just trying to keep an open mind here. So let me know what you guys think, and I'll catch you on the next one. See you up in Detroit.